All right, everyone. Welcome. We are live. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. And this is Big Marcel, 24, the MMAOB Daily Podcast. Hope everyone's doing well. We're going to be previewing UFC 287, Pereira versus Adesanya 2. Marcel, great card. I can't wait to talk about this one with you, man. How's everything going, man? How was your weekend? There was no UFC this weekend, but there was still some other MMA. How's everything?
Oh, good, man. We started at 5 p.m. sharp, right? I don't think that ever happened before that. We are exactly
I'm
on
trying
time.
my best here, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best here. I got it right on cue. So
Yeah, but all good, man. I mean, I've watched some Bellator, obviously. I've watched some PFL. The Game Bred Boxing, I didn't want to pay 18 bucks for it. I didn't feel to because PFL was at the same time. You know what I mean? So I wasn't sure if I was going to watch the whole card because I had a busy day after the day after. So, yeah, I thought it was fun. I'm also now, I don't know if you know, I was really thinking about if I should do it or not, but I did it. I'm one of the panelists on Bellator rankings now.
I saw that.
I was thinking about it if I should do it, if it's maybe a conflict of interest, but I felt like if I do it, I want to do it well, and I'll do some research on it. For example, so some things I didn't like in the rankings where it's ranked, but for example, I can actually say like Ilara Joanny, who defeated Denise Kielholz last time out, it was a close fight. And Denise is from my country, but she was still ranked above Ilara, and I don't think that's right. So I changed that in my rankings, for example. So that's pretty much what I've done. So, yeah, I feel like I try to get it better. I don't say I do it well, but I try to get it better. So let's see how it works. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think about it. I know you're feeling like it's kind of a conflict of interest, but I feel kind of the same way. But I wanted to try it. Let's see if it works, And if it doesn't work, I can still say like, nah, maybe not. But yeah, I want to give it a shot,
I mean, I'll give my thoughts on it, Marcel. Like, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I respect you a lot, as you know, man. Like, you're a really good friend of mine. I have a lot of respect for you. So, like, I'm not going to criticize your decision. I will say that
You
I
can.
remember when the UFC brought this, like, probably 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
A lot of people joined up and then they quit within the first maybe few months, because they saw it as a conflict.
Yeah.
So I know you're saying this now, but in a few months from now, you might feel a little differently about it.
Yeah, possible.
And here's the thing for me. It's just the problem I have with the media doing the ranking is that, again, it's maybe not as bad in Bellator, but in the UFC, Marcel, that they're using the rankings when they're doing contract negotiations and fight negotiations. That's the problem I have. So because I rank a guy, 5 instead of 10, for instance, it might change how much money he makes. So for me, that's the conflict I would have.
I feel this.
Yeah. So just see how it goes, man. Like I said, I think you'll do a good job, regardless, but you have to listen to your gut. So in a few months, Marcel, or whatever, in a year, I don't know how long, and you're not feeling it anymore, you shouldn't feel, you should just do whatever you feel is best. But I don't blame you for giving it a shot either. And I got to give Bellator credit. Like, at least they got some, good media to do it. I feel like, the media voting on the Bellator rankings is probably a little stronger than the UFC's, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I also feel like it's not really the media's responsibility. I just think it's so much easier if, in the UFC, if you just had Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard's rankings. Like, why don't we get their rankings? And in Bellator, I think it'd be, was it Mike Kogan, I guess? Or because Rich Chow is not there anymore, right?
Rich Chow, Danny Brenner.
Rich still there? I thought he left.
Yeah, now he's probably not there anymore. Yeah, Danny Brenner is there.
I thought Danny's their PR guy. I thought that Mike Kogan might be, but anyways, the point, you know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
Gorilla, what's up? Is it a new gig? I don't know, Marcel. I mean, are you guys getting paid or no?
No, I don't get paid for it. It's like,
yeah, I don't know if I call it a gig, but it's definitely like a responsibility. I think you'd say that.
I'll take it serious. It's not like I'm just randomly. For me, it's like it's not possible for a fighter, for example. I look at it this way. Let me explain a little bit. If a fighter, for example, is 1 and 2, and it's ranked, for example, in the women's division, you have fighters 1 and 2, but that one win is against a top contender, and the 2 losses are against also top contenders. It doesn't mean like when one fighter is 4-0 against 4 unranked, unknown opponents who are like almost a negative record, that they go above that fighter. You know what I mean? So I look at it that way, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, I'll try to be honest, you know. Listen, man, I'm not in my work. I'm absolutely not biased, you know. I try to be honest. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I try, but we'll see, you know, we'll see.
For sure. Anyways, I think we should get into it in a second here. I just wanted to. You talked about the game break card. So
Mhm.
they actually had me. They met the company messaged me payperview.com. They emailed me like last week and was like, "Are you interested in this?" So I ended up doing like the live chat for them, which was good. You know, the fights are actually pretty good. The Jose Aldo and Jeremy Stevens fight was awesome. It was a draw, which I think surprised a lot of people because I think most people thought Aldo would run through Stevens, and Aldo looked good in the fight, but I thought Stevens looked good too, man. I mean, I think they're both going to do well in boxing. Thought Conor McGregor called it all, so we'll see what that. There's a lot going on. I think we should get into the breakdowns though, Marcel, and then we'll do a short podcast after that doing fight announcements, and if you can take more questions about that, then that
A
sounds
little
good.
bit, maybe also we can do breakdown now and a little bit of a recap of the other events on the other
I was thinking, yeah,
short.
Alex
Yeah,
and Daniel James. Yeah, okay. So let me get some comments here, guys. We'll get into the breakdowns in a second. Here we got Glenn in the chat as always. We got Antoine always here. We also got Gorilla. Oh, this is funny. UFC rankings are far they were control of Bellator at least strong. I actually agree. Like I said, Bellator got better media. While I changed my background for you, my man, I'm not at home right now, so I'm just using an alternate background. If you guys go to an event, you automatically granted passes. How does it work? No, you don't automatically granted passes. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I've been in the business for so long that, like, I think they know who I am, but I still have to apply for it. And same with Marcel. I mean, it's not
of
like you
course.
just get it. It's, yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
it's different when you're for a local show and you know the guy, you know who's the
Yeah.
promoter. They want to have you probably there because they know you do what you do, and
Same
it's
with
also
UFC.
extra PR for them, pretty much. You know, if you go to the event and you're maybe you're the only media there, you know, so it's
Yeah.
also good for them, you know. But
Yeah.
with the higher promotions, UFC, Bellator, PFL, nah, man, you got to apply for your pass, and
Yeah.
it's not even always granted. You know, there are a lot of people
Oh,
who get turned down.
absolutely. All right, Marcel. So I say let's get into the preview now. I always ask you this: UFC
Yeah,
287. What's your overall thoughts on the card before we get into each fight? What do you think about this card? I think it's good. So what do you think?
yeah, I think it's a fun card. I think it watered a little bit down with the Chiesa Li Jing Liang fight dropping off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Although still a pretty decent card, I think. You know, I would say a 7 out of 10, maybe a closer to let's say 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good card. You know, the main event is great. I think the co-main event for the Belt of Florida is great. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean Burns lives for so long in Florida right now. Um, and also, man, you got Rosas Jr. I'm really intrigued by what he's going to do against Rodriguez because that's a good opponent for him, I think. It's a fun one. Holland Ponzinibbio, good fight. I mean, Font Yanez, we're going to finally see where Yanez is right now in his career, right? If he wins against Font, that would be huge. And I love Gastelum, Chris Curtis, a fun fight as well, you know. And I'm looking forward to Jackie Amorim fight. the
Yeah, I know you've been
UFC.
talking about this girl for a while. You've been like,
Yeah.
man, this one's good for sure. All right, Marshall, let's get into the breakdown just because we do have quite a bit of fights to cover, and I'm looking forward to talking about them with you. All right, so first up is actually Marcel, your girl, Jaqueline Amorim. She takes on Sam Hughes, women's 115, and the former LFA champ is minus 250. Sam Hughes plus 200. Who's your pick?
Yeah, the thing here is like Jacqueline Amorim never went out of the first round, you know, and that's also the thing what I had last week with Bellator with Luke Trainer against Sullivan Coley. Sullivan Coley was never been out of the first round,
By the
you know.
way, after I said I'm like, I think trainer wins it. You're like, no, call it. And I'm like, wait, I'm
Yeah,
wrong. I should have kept my first pick.
yeah, indeed, you know, and but this one as well, man. You know, I think Hughes got some bad luck in the UFC. I don't think she's that bad. You know, I think she's pretty decent actually. Um, Amorim, Amorim has something like the it factor. You know, I like what I see from her in elevation. She's good on the ground. I think she finished all the fights with submission. Um, but Hughes can surprise here. You know, it wouldn't be the first time that an undefeated girl comes in the UFC. I mean, think about Smelly Melissa Martinez, Super
Super
Smelly.
smelly. Yeah.
Yeah, think about her, for example. And it wouldn't be the first time, you know. But man, I gotta favor Amorim here. I feel like she gets a tap. Don't know which round, but I think she gets it. But Hughes, I would be sad, man, if they cut Hughes after this. Probably gonna be, but I would be sad because I think she's okay. She got some bad luck and some decisions. Some definitely the beginning of a career in the UFC, right? But yeah, I'm going with Jaqueline Amorim.
Me too, Marcel, but I'm with you. There's like some hesitation because I just look at the level of competitions. It's pretty night and day, guys. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I know Samuel's only 2-4 in the UFC, but like, if you look at the 4 fighters she lost to, like, they would be favored to beat a lot of fighters in the division. And her 2 wins are decent too. They're not like great wins, but they're not bad. And Amorim, I'm with you though, Marcel. I mean, I think there's like a lot of talent here, right? Like, great ground game. But the competition does kind of weird me. Like, a lot 0-0, 1-0, 4-3, 1-1. Like, it's not the best competition.
Also, fights at ATT in Florida, which also can be an advantage.
For sure. And like I said, the ground game's nasty. Like, 6 first round. You can't really argue with 6 first round finishes. But what happens if she doesn't get the finish? And then the fight goes to the second, third round. Sam Hughes has good cardio. She turns it up in that later stage of the fight. So that's the worry here. Because what if it looks like that Estela Nunes fight where that girl was lighting up Sam Hughes and then got tired and then lost? What if it looks like that, right? So it's a pass for me, man. There's no way I can recommend laying minus 250 on a debuting fighter who hasn't really fought them good. What are you gonna say?
I agree with you there, man. I mean, it's too much of a risk, I think.
I'm with you. Like, I'm going to pick the girl because, again, she's undefeated. It looks like she's a really good prospect, but I just think there's too many, like, things I have concerns about that I wouldn't. I mean, come on. There's so many fights on this card. I don't think laying minus 250 on this girl is a good idea. She probably wins the fight. We're both going to pick her, but if Sam Hughes goes and wins the decision, Marcel, it really wouldn't surprise me. So there you go. All right, we'll go to the next fight here, Marcel. We have UFC featherweight division, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Nuerdanbieke and Steve Garcia. I just said it because Garcia fights, it feels like in every weight class. He's fought in like 3 weight classes, I want to say. Odds for this one, we got Shayilan minus 225, plus 180 on Steve Garcia. What do you think, man?
So this is a difficult one, I feel. I feel like you're going here with the upside. I'm not, actually. I told you last time as well that I like Shayilan also against Derek Minna, but we really cannot take anything too much from that fight. You know what I mean? So, I like Shayilan, man, what I saw so far, from him in the UFC. I think he's pretty good, not like amazing good, next level good, like future champion good, but I think he's really decent, If you look at Steve Garcia, for example, fought 4 times in the UFC, 2 good wins, against Sideshow Bob and against Chase Hooper, and he got the 2 losses against Meerschaert and Luis Pena. So, I think it's a super close fight, man. This can go both ways. I don't see a finish, to be honest. If there is a finish, I think Steve Garcia gets it. But no, I'm going with a decision win for Shayilan here in this fight. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, I don't really disagree. I know you thought me. I take Garcia here. Like, again.
Yeah, I understand. I thought you would.
I think he's got a chance because he had the power. We saw that against Chase Hooper, obviously.
Yeah.
But I still don't really necessarily trust Steve Garcia. Like the other 2 fights, 3 fights, I should say. But the one against Meerschaert and the one even on Tavares where he got dropped twice in that first round against Sideshow Bob and then got finished. And then Meerschaert that fight was washout. So I don't really trust the guy. He did look great though in his last fight. I got to give him a lot of credit, man. I thought he was going to lose that fight and get cut, Marcel, but he goes out there and just destroyed Chase Hooper. So. To be fair, Chase Hooper's not, a good stand-up fighter, obviously. So, I don't know how much you can take away from that win. But the thing is, though, about this fight is, like, I don't really think it's going to take place on the feet, Marcel. I think this guy, Shayilan's going to wrestle him, right? I'm assuming that's what you think, too? He's going to wrestle him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I will say, like, Steve Garcia has, decent amount of experience. He's fought in Bellator, UFC. He's fought some good fighters, man. Like, actually, it's been a few years now, but like one of his first fights, I think, was against what's that guy's name? Joe Warren. That was like one of his first fights. Ricky Tercios even too, Marcel. So he had coming into the sport, he was fighting good guys out of the gate, right? He's in the UFC now. He's a decent fighter, good finishing ability, a lot of knockout power. But I think Shaylin's pretty good, and Marcel, you know, I'm not going to even talk about that last fight because let's be honest, that fight a lot of controversy. But like he does, this is his 50th fight. That's 50 fights since 2016. That's a fucking lot of experience. Now, to be fair, a lot of the guys he fought are terrible, right? Like, let's be honest. However, since coming to the UFC, I mean, 3-1, and the loss. Josh Kulabau is a really good fighter. There's nothing wrong with that loss. Beating Sean Soriano it's not a great win because Soriano never won a fight in the UFC, but it's not terrible. TJ Brown's not a bad win. And I think Derek Minner, I know he's a flawed guy and that fight's fucking weird as hell, but on paper, it's not a bad win either. I just think he's going to be able to take him down. Marcel control where the fight takes place. So for me, Shaylin's look good in the UFC, and I got to pick him here for the win, man. I got to pick him here. Let me get some comments here, guys. Marcus, what's up, man? What's up, fighter fans? Garcia put on Huber. I think he's picking Garcia. Fair enough. Dude, 50 fights is crazy. And the thing is, like, I want to say a few months ago, Marcel, he didn't have all these fights on his Tapology, and then they got added. Remember, it was like maybe last year, some point, like,
yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know what happened. Like, they found all these extra fights on this guy's record. Right? Like,
by the way,
sorry?
When you are running to Hooper, are you caught up with him? How do you call him?
I don't know. What?
You chase Hooper. So bad. Sorry.
Okay. You can leave the podcast now. Anyway. Just joking. All right. I think we're good on this one, guys. But yeah, you feel good about that, Marcel?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, it's kind of 50-50, you know? And I just feel more to go with Shayilan than with Steve Garcia. But if I would go with a finish, I would probably go with Steve Garcia because he got that knockout power, you know? But
yeah, I kind of feel that way too. So for me, I'm leaning towards Shayilan by decision.
Or Garcia by knockout.
That would be the other way the fight would end.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other comments. Mark, 7 weeks of UFC in a row. That's right. We had an off week last week, obviously. I'm sure you guys never try it, but if you ever try a game with Destiny 2, I never even played the first one. I don't really play like online games, but I heard it's good though. So, all right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We got this is a fun one. Ignacio Bahamondes against Trey Ogden. I think this is a fun fight. It's actually a catchweight fight.
Yeah,
160, right? I believe. Odds for this one, as you'd expect, Bahamondes minus 335 favorite. Pretty big favorite here. Trey Ogden, short notice, plus 250. Got to give my boy James Lynch a shout out because he did an interview with Trey Ogden. I don't know if you saw it, Marcel. It was a good interview.
Yeah.
You saw it? You saw that one?
Not yet.
It's worth it. He posted the clip, but basically he had he talked all about the weight cut for that fight with Miguel Torres. Or not Miguel Torres, sorry. Manuel. Not Miguel Torres. He's not in the UFC anymore. And Miguel Torres, excuse me, where the fight got canceled. But like the story he tells is crazy about like renting an Airbnb where like the sauna didn't work or like the hot tub didn't work, and like they had to like rush to like some LA Fitness where they didn't have towels for him. Like it's just a crazy story. Definitely worth listening to. I just wanted to give that a shout out. Anyways, I'll start on this one, Marcel. You know, that's a concern I have. I mean, the guy just cut weight 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, like 3 weeks ago. Cut a lot of weight. He's a guy that cuts a lot of weight to make that weight class. Now, in this case, the fight's at 160, so it's a little bit less of a cut for Trey, but that still concerns me, Marcel. And the thing is, like, you know, Manuel Torres is pretty good. Like, I like him as a prospect, but I think Bahamondes is even better than him, you know, to be honest with you. I feel like this is an even harder fight, as the odds reflect. I really like Bahamondes and Marcel. I've liked him ever since I saw him in Contender. That kick he had, that knockout was nasty. I know he lost to John McDessie in his debut like 2 years ago, but that fight was extremely close. I don't know how that didn't win fight of the night. That fight was fucking – because someone missed weight, right? McDessie maybe? I can't remember now. I think – did McDessie miss weight in that fight or did Bahamondes? Someone did. Who was it?
Yeah, Bahamondes was missed. 156.8.
Yeah, so someone like that's what I remember with that. But that fight was awesome, and then he obviously looked great against Roberts. That third round kick with 5 seconds left, that was insane. And then the wrong fight. He's got 2 finishes in the third round. I mean, the guy's a beast. Huge for the weight class, 6'3", 75-inch reach. Super young, he's 25. I mean, there's everything to like about this guy. He's getting better. Trey Ogden's. I gotta be honest, like I've kind of been underrating him a little bit, or I haven't been great at his fights in the UFC because I thought he was going to beat Jordan Levitt, and then he lost a really close split decision, which I thought was the right decision, but it was close. And then the Daniel Zellhuber fight. I mean, I think most people got that fight wrong, Marcel. Let's be honest. Like Daniel just couldn't pull the trigger for whatever reason, and Trey looked decent. He has a lot of experience, 21 fights compared to 17 for Bahamondes. Not a huge difference, but I think overall he's probably fought some of the better competition. Bahamondes, before UFC hasn't fought bad guys either. So for me, it's like you get a guy who's 8 years younger, taller for the weight class, longer for the weight class, better prospect, more upside. There's really no reason for me to pick Trey Ogden. I'm going to go Bahamondes. For me, it's how does he win the fight? I know Trey's pretty tough, Marcel, but I think there's a good chance he finishes him, to be honest with you, because that's what Bahamondes does. He goes and finishes people. So Trey's been submitted a bunch of times. Maybe that's the way to go. You go potentially Bahamondes by submission. I know he's more of a striker, but he does have submission abilities we saw in the last fight. So Bahamondes, I'm leaning towards a stoppage. What do you think, man?
Yeah, same. I mean, Trey Ogden is pretty decent, but at the same time, he got that surprise win to me against Daniel Zellhuber, and Zellhuber looked like Manel Kape in his first 2 fights in the UFC, or his first fight in the UFC, or Tyron Woodley in his later days. They couldn't let anything go. Really felt the octagon jealous was, I think, Looking forward, by the way, to his fight against Vanata. I think that is a great fight. But man, Bahamondes is a guy who is really talented, and I really like him. What I saw so far from him, got a great win on the Contender Series, and like you said, that spinning wheel kick against Roosevelt Roberts. Great one, and then Rongzhu. But we haven't seen him for over a year, man. It's pretty much a long time. Still, I pick him to win. I don't know if he's finishing him. I think he's finishing him, maybe later, second, third round. But my money is on Bahamondes as well, dude.
Yeah, I really like this guy. You got a comment for Anton. You think he's top 10 potential?
Possible in the future.
Lightweight's back division, but he's only 25 and he's huge in the weight class. So I think he's got potential. I don't know if he'll be top 10, but I think he's got the chance to be at least top 15. I think he'll be ranked one day. A couple other comments here. Crazy Pato, March and February went by fast. They sure did, man. April 3rd. Crazy. Glad to have you here, my friend. Marcus says, shout out to Trey Ogden's hemp company, Native Hemp Corporation Edibles. I didn't know you had that. That's cool. He's the one running that gym now, the Kraus, the Glorium. What is it called? What's his name? What's the name of the gym now?
I don't know.
Marathon
MMA? Yeah, that's Trey Ogden, right?
Yeah, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Marathon MMA. So credit to this guy. I mean, he's, I think a lot of the fighters that used to train under Kraus are training with him. No James Krause, no win. I mean, it's funny. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel.
Yeah.
The
final early prelim.
Yeah. Cynthia Calvillo and Loopy Godinez. Odds for this one, Loopy's favored. Minus 275. It's pretty heavy favorite. Plus 210 on Cynthia Calvillo. Let me start on this one too, Marcel. I just find it hard to pick Cynthia Calvillo. That's the problem here because she's not looked like the same fighter at all. And I'll give her credit. I mean, she's fighting good fighters. Nina Nunes, well, the thing is, Nina Nunes retired, I think, after that fight, right? If I'm not mistaken. So, but she's still not a terrible fighter. Andrea Lee is not a bad fighter, but the way she got finished was pretty bad to watch. Corner stoppage, like she just looked like she just had nothing left. And then Andrade finished her, which is not surprising. Jaqueline wins the decision. It's like they're not the worst losses, but I don't know, man. At the same time, it's really hard for me to pick someone that her last win was against Jessica Ai. It was 3 years ago, basically. Like this, it's just at least Loopy, like she's Marcel, she's a little overrated, I gotta say. She's always the favorite in her fights, and she lost to Angela Hill. Carolina beat her. Penny beat her. I think she's been favored in all her fights. I believe. Maybe there was one she was underdog in, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I still think she's got some potential with the wrestling, right? The ground game. That fight with Silvana Gomez Juarez, like she looked like a superstar in that fight, but since then really hasn't done anything special. I think that losing to Hill is kind of a bad look. I know Hill is a decent fighter. She's a veteran, but it wasn't like competitive as many people thought. She got controlled pretty easily in that fight. Yeah. I still think the wrestling's going to be enough here. And I know that Calvillo, especially used to be a good grappler, but because I don't trust her anymore. I guess one thing for Cynthia, Marcel, the fight's at, I believe, 115, right? So Cynthia's going back down in weight. That's something kind of in her favor. But if I'm also not mistaken, Marcel, she's missed weight before. Am I not right?
Yeah. Not one time, I think.
I think a couple times, right? And that's why she moved up. So that's kind of a worry too. I'm going with Loopy. I don't love the odds. But I like again because she has lost as a favorite in I think 3 times now in the UFC, or twice at least. Let me
She was always a favorite. She was
I
always
think
a
so,
favorite.
right? Even against Penny, I think too, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, let's be honest. She should have
yeah,
won that one.
I agree, but still, the fact that she has lost 3 times as a dog
Yeah.
is a little concerning. I mean, how could it? Sorry, 3 times as a favorite. Excuse me. That's a little concerning. So she's not exactly someone you want to trust. But how do you pick Calvillo? I can't do it. What do you think, man?
Well, then I should probably do it. So she's minus 360. Was she in the last fight against Angela Hill, Loopy Godinez?
Her odds?
Yeah, man, she was minus 360 or something.
Minus 400.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty. I think we were pretty convinced back then that she was going
I
to
feel
be.
like we completely overlooked Angela Hill in that fight. To be honest, looking back at it, yeah,
Hill looked really good in that fight. So yeah, all credits to her. Godinez is like a hit or a miss in my opinion. Sometimes she look really good, and then all of a sudden she looks like mediocre. You know what I mean? It's like 50-50. And what Calvillo is. The thing is with Calvillo, she hasn't looked good as of lately, but we've seen her look good against good competition. You know what I mean? We've seen her look good against good competition. And the thing is, like, if she has her diet on point and she goes back to 150, she can be a force there because at 125 she couldn't bully the girls she was fighting there, but at 150 she might can bully the girls she's fighting there. So I take the gamble here with going with Calvillo because I think it's Loopy is a way too high of a favorite. That's why I would take the gamble. Only reason because I also don't really trust Calvillo, but I think if she can go back to 115 and she can bully Godinez, she can win the fight. So I would say the decision win for Calvillo, but man, I wouldn't put my money on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I get it. Like I understand. I totally get it. Looking at these fights, like I did pick all the favorites in the first 4, but like just knowing how UFC fights go, you'll probably get at least one upset in those 4. And there's definitely potential here. And then again, it could be 4 favorites winning, like as we're thinking, as the odds are saying. But we know how the sport works, Mark. So there's always surprises. And again, Loopy's a little overrated, guys. I mean, she's overvalued in the betting odds often.
Ooh, we have the former champ in the chat.
Apparently, yeah. What's up, Israel? I saw my fight Saturday be like Pacquiao and Marquez 4. If you know, you know. Oh, I remember that knockout. That's all I'm gonna say. I remember that knockout very well. That was one of the best boxing knockouts ever. Lupita and Calvillo, good matchmaking, interesting at 115. Yeah, it's a good fight. I think I'm talking about the 4th one where he got like just his wife was in the crowd, and remember that fight? You've seen that knockout, Pacquiao.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. I've seen that. I think.
In the last decade. All right, we'll go to the next fight here, guys.
Yeah.
And this one, Marcel, I thought you broke the news on this fight, man, but you told me you didn't. So I wanted to give you the credit for this. But yeah, we have a short notice fight here, guys. Chris Barnett, what happened? Injury or?
I don't. The thing is, like, this fight was like I'll tell the story. So, the Brazilian UFC account posted like the bout order, and I see Carl Williams against Chase Sherman. It's like, are they tripping? Is it a mistake because Carl Williams was actually training with Chris Barnett?
Are you serious? So, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, what the hell? So then I went to Carl's side to ask. It's like, yeah, that's true. It's like, oh, crazy. So I had to confirm with the other side as well. So yeah, and it was true. So I was like, what the hell, And the UFC didn't even announce it. They just put it on the Brazilian website, and it was like, yeah, well, whatever, So that's why I posted. And people were like, "This is an April Fool's joke." It's like, nah, I'm not. I can't do that, man. I mean, back when I had like 10 followers, I maybe can do that, but right now I just can't do that anymore, And some of these jokes were really bad, man, on April Fool's Day, man. I was like, come on, and. I think probably the best joke was Chiesa against Buckley from Buckley's side because everybody almost thought that was legit.
I can't believe people were like, "Oh, Buckley will make 170 on a week's notice easy." I'm like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" He said he was at 198, and that's when I knew. I'm like, "Okay, he's probably lying about this."
Yeah.
Was that fight ever offered? But was that ever offered?
Not, as far as I know, no. So yeah, I was like, well, what the hell?
He's gonna drop 30 pounds in like 5 days. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna do that.
Yeah. But yeah, Williams apparently was training with Barnett, and that's why he could fill in so quickly. You know what I mean? But yeah, about the fight, I think it's a good fight for Carl Williams, man. Let's be honest. I mean, the dude, He could make 205. I think he fights at 265. Do the strong. You saw him almost ragdolling Lucas Brzeski.
Let me jump in quick. I forgot to tell the odds. Minus 480, Karl Williams, plus 350 on Chase Sherman.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because I think Karl Williams can put his pressure on Chase Sherman, get him to the ground and hold him there. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. He can ground and pound him to TKO, but I think he gets a decision win. And Sherman, the only thing Sherman can do is try to knock him out when the fight starts, and when they start after every round. But I think Williams takes it to the ground. I'm impressed what I saw by Williams so far. And remember when I was on Brzeski last time and I switched 3 days before because I was like, nah, Williams going to win this one. And you were always on Williams on that one. And I'm convinced, Williams is going to win this fight.
I got a trick question for you. Who's older, Karl Williams or Chase Sherman?
Probably Karl Williams, right?
He's 2 months younger.
Okay.
They're basically the same. They're basically the same age, which is crazy because this guy, he only started fighting as a pro in 2021. I mean, for a guy at age 31 to turn pro, it doesn't happen that often. Then make it to the UFC age 32 or whatever, 33. I mean, that's impressive. And I think there's a lot to like about this guy, man. He's a good athlete. I think he's got wrestling credentials, right? They were talking about that in his last fight. Again, just started fighting a couple years ago, but actually has fought decent competition since making his debut in MMA. He fought Jason Butcher, a former UFC Bellator fighter, a couple years ago, and lost that fight. And he also fought Sean Boatwright and won that fight. So he already in his first couple of fights was fighting guys with more experience than him. And then goes to PFL, wins the fight, goes to Icon, which was Masvidal's promotion, wins another fight. XMA picked him up. He beat this guy Simon Marini, who's a Canadian guy who's fought on a lot of Canadian cards, and he beat him by knockout. And that's what I'm like, okay, this guy's someone to keep a notice of because Simon's, a guy that I've known for a long time, and he knocked him out. And then I think the win over Jimmy Lawson as an underdog and contender, and that guy obviously was a good wrestler, and Karl Williams completely out-wrestled him, which was very surprising. And then his thing with Brzeski. And the Brzeski fight, Marcel, that was last month. It wasn't even a month ago. He didn't look tired. He looked fine the whole fight. I know that I think it was DC was like, oh, he's got his hands on his hip. He's tired. He wasn't tired. Okay. He was fine. He could have went another 2 rounds, I think. It's not the most exciting style, Marcel, let's be honest, but it's effective and it wins fights. Anyways, Chase Sherman, I mean, listen, the guy's been around for a long time. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy that they're basically the same age because this guy is way more experienced, been around, he's been fighting for almost 10 years now. And he obviously has fought really good competition. You got to give Chase credit because
for sure,
this is the guy that doesn't turn down fights. I mean, he's fighting the hardest guys in the division for the most part. I know Romanov looks kind of like a busted prospect now, Marcel, but when he fought him, he was minus 3,000, I want to say, in that fight or something. It was the biggest line. Remember that when he fought Romanov?
Very big line, yeah.
Biggest line ever, I think. And, does that fight to kind of get another chance in the UFC, remember? Because I think they cut him, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and then I'll give him credit. I thought he looked amazing against Gerald Vandera. And again, Jared's not in the UFC now, but that knockout was amazing. And then, Marcel, the fight with Waldo was competitive. It was not a blowout, and it was probably closer than people thought. So if he can keep this fight standing, he's going to have a chance to win. There's no doubt about it. I'm picking Karl Williams because I think he'll get Chase Sherman down, and Chase on the ground is not good. We've seen that against a couple guys like Collier. Even Parker Porter took him down a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, too. So his ground game is an issue. I think he has no finishes on the ground either in his career. Ground game's not his forte. But Marcel, again, if it stays in the feet, makes it interesting. And again, the odds are heavy, guys. It's a heavyweight fight, Marcel. I'm not going to talk myself into picking Chase, but I thought the odds would be a little closer. I got to be honest. It's basically 5-1. That's you understand it, but I don't know. Week's notice, guys.
I was actually, I can give you this. I was talking to one of Karl's teammates, and he was like, this dude, he's a machine. He only after his fight, he wasn't fighting for a week in training, and after that he came immediately back, watched his fight back from the Brzeski. Look what he did wrong, and he kept working on it. He's one of the hardest workers at the gym. So
the guy made the UFC 2 years after starting his career. That's impressive. There's no doubt. I still think I'm still not 100% sold on him as a heavyweight because he used to fight 205, but So there's some issues here I have with a little bit, just because Chase is more experienced, and I think heavyweight. I mean, not that I think, like, we know that there's more variance in heavyweight, but again, as long as he wrestles, he wins. But if it stays in the feed, it could be a problem. Let me get some comments here, guys.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
And there's no disrespect to Sherman, but if you, as an upcoming fighter, can't beat Chase Sherman in the UFC, probably not going to go well for you, probably, So that's how I feel about it. And that's no disrespect to Sherman. Maybe it feels like disrespect, but I don't mean it.
I mean, no, it's not at all. I think Sherman's like almost a gatekeeper to getting into the UFC, quite frankly. All right, get some comments here. Wishes was an April Fool's joke. I was going to pick Chris Barnett against Chase Sherman too, and Chris Barnett was like a plus 200 underdog, I want to say. Who were you going to take in that fight? Who would you have picked?
Yeah, probably Barnett as well, man. And I mean, he surprised me in the Jay Collier fight. I'm not going to lie. I thought Jay Collier would have. No disrespect again to Barnett, but I thought Collier would easily.
He dropped him early. Like, he thought the fight was over, and then somehow he gasses out, and then Chris Barnett does his thing again. A couple other comments here. Antoine, Sherman might have a chance, but now he'd be fucked. Pretty much. Lucas and Sherman made more sense, funnier matchup stylist than Karl. Well, can Lucas even come here from, like, where is he from? Poland, I think. Is he from Poland? Where's he from, Lucas? Can he get here without notice? No, probably not. Karl probably injured Barnett, purpose take the fight. So crazy how Williams fights Atlanta. That's your hometown, Antoine. Atlanta Hawks, man. Sucks for Sherman. Went from easy matchup, one of his worst for sure. By the way, Antoine, I can't wait till my Toronto Raptors kick your asses in the play-in round, man. That looks like that's going to be the game. We're going to kick your guys' asses. Williams does look good. Looking for this one. Yeah, he's looked good. I mean, for a guy who's 33, who has, like, no experience, Marcel, like, he's looking good. Like, he looks looking really good. All right, we're going to go to the next fight here. We're going to another prelim here. We got Gerald Meerschaert taking on Joe Pyfer. Another interesting fight, in my opinion. I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts on this fight, Marcel, because I think this one is very interesting. Odds are interesting. Actually, I'll start on this one, this breakdown. Minus 175, Joe Pyfer. Plus 145, Gerald Meerschaert. All right, well, this one's tricky, I think, because, listen, Joe Pyfer's looked good, right? He's looked really good. And, yeah, UFC really likes him. I mean, he's young, he's 26. He looked amazing, right, against Alan Yankowski. That guy's a scrub. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but he went 0-4 and got knocked out on his losses, except for Jocko. But Jocko doesn't finish sandwich for lunch. Pyfer's looked good. He's looked good, okay? There's no doubt. A couple knockouts in a row. The fight on a contender. I don't even want to talk about that Stoltzfus fight because, he got picked up and slammed. You can say, like, oh, he came from a legal move, true. But it's the other fight with Jonathan Patby getting submitted by that guy. I mean, that guy is not UFC caliber, and he got submitted by him. So that does worry me a little bit going against Meerschaert. I mean, how is it not? And obviously, guys can improve. I get that. I mean, but again, Gerald, man, I know he's 35, guys, but 50 fights. This is his 51st fight. He's fought the best fighters in the world for a long fucking time.
Jay Ellis.
Yeah, Jay Ellis, who actually beat him years ago. His second fight in 2007. He's had 48 fights since then. Then he actually beat him in a rematch. Anyways, getting back to the fight, like, you've seen Gerald in the UFC for a long time now, right? Like, he's inconsistent, but he's looked good lately. He's won 4 of his last 5 by submission. We know that he's a tough motherfucker. I mean, let's be honest, Marcel. Like, he can lose the first, second round and then come back in the third round and submit you. Like, he's done it many times. He's dangerous for all 15 minutes. Like, you can't make a mistake against this guy, especially on the ground. He has been knocked out a couple times. We've seen that. And it's certainly possible Joe Pyfer knocks him out here. But I also just feel like the ground game is in his favor, man. And the experience is in his favor. And I kind of trust him. The fight gets dragged out. I trust Gerald Meerschaert more. I think he could just make it a dirty, gritty fight, Marcel. I really do. Don't get me wrong, guys. Joe Pyfer is a really good prospect. He goes out there and knocks out Gerald Meerschaert. My fault. But I'm going to take a shot on Meerschaert as a dog. I'm going to take him, Marcel, by submission. There you go.
So when you have a different pick, you got the same one.
Serious?
So, yeah, I feel the same way, actually, because I think Gerald Meerschaert had way better opposition so far than Joe Pyfer has. I think Pyfer is a really good prospect, like you said. I like him as well. But Meerschaert is like a super tricky fighter to fight, not for Kamzat, for example, but for all these others he is, He can beat you at every single moment in the fight with a crazy submission. He gets it, and he gets it late in the third round sometimes as well. I think he's the record holder in the middleweight division for more submission wins in the UFC.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm picking him as well, man, and I think he gets a finish for a submission in the second or third round. He got to go through. He got to come through the first round. I think that's the most tricky part. It's going to be either. I think it's going to be Pyfer in the first round or Gerald Meerschaert in the later rounds, and even with a decision possible. But I'm going with a submission for Gerald Meerschaert here.
So I mean, I'm looking at some props. Meerschaert by submissions plus 375. I mean, I definitely think it's worth a stab. I think that'd be the way he wins the fight. As far as the round props go, Meerschaert at round 2 plus 1,000, Meerschaert in round 3 plus 1,200. I think it's worth a stab, because that's just how he wins his fights. And again, he's on a roll, Marcel. He's won 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He beat Bruno Silva, who's I think a good fight. Bruno's the only guy who went to decision with Pereira. Like, he's not a scrub. I know Stolfitz isn't a great fighter, but he was actually losing that fight and came back and won. That was impressive. But I thought Muradov was a great win at the time. Like, that surprised me. Meerschaert was a plus 500 dog in that fight. So, and the Fabinski guy's not good, but still, he submitted him. The point is, like, yeah, he's been knocked out a couple times. We've seen that, right? His durability is not amazing at times. I mean, overall, when he has 50 fights, he's only been knocked out like 2 or 3 times. It's not bad. Obviously, getting up there in age now, so his chin's going to go. But I still think he's got another fight or 2 left in him before it really cracks, and I think he beats this guy. So I think it's worth a shot. All right, couple comments here, guys. Marcus likes body bags Pyfer. Fair enough. I mean, listen, he's good, and he might finish Gerald in the first round. But I think if that doesn't happen, Marcel, I'd rather take a shot on Gerald at these plus money numbers. Because I actually think that's my. I'm not saying I think the odds makers are right putting Pyfer as a favorite because of all the hype, right? That makes to me, but I think he wins. That's right. Yeah, I'm a Hawks fan. Raptors are asses for the conference. Yeah, man, we're gonna get you guys. Pyfer, Nickov, Joseph wins here. I don't think UFC would do that. They like them both, man. They're not going to do Pyfer and Bo Nickel. I mean, it's a good fight, but I think Bo Nickel's fighting Tristan Gore, right? Is that the next fight?
Yeah, it's not official yet, but it's probably going to happen, yeah.
So I'd probably open up the card in the International Fight Week. I would say first fight in the card.
Honestly, I don't really like it, but it is what it is.
I mean, Tristan did finish, what's his name, Josh Fremd. So
I have no problem with Trishan or with Trishan, but I feel like Bo Nickel shouldn't fight a fight where he is like a minus 800 or something.
It's going to be, yeah. It'll probably be a minus 800. I think that's a good number, I think. Mr. Marcel, the odds maker now. There he is. Pyfer's better grappling. Trina Sean Brady destroys Anders and Fury grappling. He did beat Anders. He emptied out crowd by Jocko. True. Yeah, but I still think he's submitted, man. He's beaten a lot of guys that are better, some like grapplers on paper than him too, over and over. But yeah, I think that's definitely a fair point. I don't think Pyfer's like a fish out of the water on the ground, but I just think he can make a mistake, especially as the fight goes on. Like, the other thing I want to say about Joe Marcel, he only has 1 win by decision too.
Yeah,
like, we've never seen him go late into a fight. What happens if the fight goes to like the 2.5 round mark of the third round, 2.5 minute mark of the third round? That's when Gerald really has an advantage over him. I'm with you, man. I think it's gonna be a late stoppage. So we'll see how the fight goes. We'll see how it goes. All right. We got another comment here. What's up, Ben? How's it going? Let's go to the next fight, Marcel. We got Michelle Waterson-Gomez taking on Luana Pinheiro. And the odds for this one, Pinheiro is favored in this fight. She is minus 165, Waterson-Gomez plus 140. And Marcel, give me your pick.
Yeah, let's start with Michelle Waterson.
Waterson-Gomez.
Okay, Waterson-Gomez, what you want? I just say Karate Hottie. Maybe that's easier. Yeah, man. I always liked her. I even like from the. I think she did Bully Beat Down as well. A few episodes. I always liked her from there already, and former Invicta champion came to the UFC. Mm-hmm. I remember a lot of hype back on her back then. Yeah, she's for a long time now in the UFC, but she only won 1 of her last 5 fights, dude, and that was against Angela Hill, and it was a super close fight. losing to Esparza, or Jen Jacek, Rodriguez, Lamos, all good fighters pretty much. Now she's fighting Pinheiro. Pinheiro 2-0 in the UFC with that win over Sam Hughes last time out, and before that, that illegal kick from Randa Marcos, where we still don't agree with. Yeah, what can I say about this one? I think Pinheiro wins the fight because she's younger, she's more upside, and I feel like Waterson is really punching air a lot all the time. You know what I mean? It's really busy, but doesn't touch all the time. I like Waterson a lot, but I have to be honest. I'm going with Pinheiro here. I think Pinheiro wins the decision, and I can't agree with Huani there with this last comment.
This one? Oh yeah, Michelle.
No, the last one.
Oh, Juan, sorry. Luana Sterling. Oh, you think so? Hearts full of current and past hype trains. That's what they're trying to do here, Glenn. They're trying to build up new names off of old names, I think. Not that Michelle, she's not that old. I mean, she's 36, but come on, guys, she looks great for age. Holly Holmes is her best friend and training partner, right? Holly's 42 now, I think, 41 or 42. She's still in amazing shape. I think Michelle could fight into her 40s easily. I think so, Marcel. She's been around a long time. Like, she's been around like a long fucking time, and fought like the best fighters her whole career. I mean, even before the UFC and Invicta and stuff, she was fighting good fighters. She fought in Strikeforce in 2008. I mean, she's been around forever. Like, nothing but respect for Michelle Waterson. Really good fighter. Having said that, again, she's been fighting really good competition. Like, she fought Lemos, Rodriguez, Esparza, Jacek, and Hill. Only beat Hill in that fight, but that Esparza fight, I guess, was kind of close, right? But the point is, like, she's only losing to the best of the best for the most part. Elite fighters, but she's still not winning those fights. And going up against Pinheiro, who, like you said, has a lot of upside, Marcel. And I think she's looked good in the UFC. I mean, that fight in Contender, it's been 3 years now almost, but that was a nice fight against Frosto. And then the Marcos fight, dude, she was completely dominating that fight before the finish, before the DQ. So, yeah, you could say she was acting or whatever. Like, I know that's what you think. Maybe she was. The point is, like, she was dominating that fight before that illegal kick happened. So regardless of what you think about if she was, like, embellishing it or not, she was still dominating that fight. You look great. And then Sam Hughes goes and beats her, knocks her down, controls the fight, wins the decision, wrestles her. I just think she's, like, really good and well-rounded. And she's young, like I said, with the she's only 30, compared to 36. That is a big difference. But the overall level competition is a worry too, Marcel. Like, 28 fights compared to 11, and 28 fights against really good fighters against, like, Pinheiro's fought only, like, average fighters. So again, this is another fight where I'm gonna pick Pinheiro, guys, because I've liked her in the UFC so far. I've picked her in all her fights. It's not like I'm going to go against her now, but it's often Michelle Waterson-Gomez is taller than her opponent and, like, bigger. Like, it's not common. So I still think that the overall strength advantage probably goes to Pinheiro. I think you should probably grind her out a little bit, maybe get her down. But Marcel, I will say, I know you said she punches air, maybe, but these judges are fucking idiots, and they might just give her points anyways. You're doing that like, she's just like Holly Holm, the same thing. I'll take Pinheiro by decision, but I also think that Waterson-Gomez could win a decision here, Marcel. I really do. So Waterson-Gomez by decision is plus 200. I mean, it's not like I'll pass on this fight, guys. I'm just saying, like, I think it's a chance for sure. There's going to be some underdogs in this card. It could be her. That's the thing, Glenn. The 8-fight deal, I mean, it's 8 fights, but if she loses her next 2, they can still cut her with 3.
I listen, man. Everybody, I think Ali Abdelaziz said it once, and I know he's not really likable for many people, but I agree with him on this thing. He's like, never sign a longer deal than 3 fights, because if you sign an 8-fight deal with the UFC and you're winning 3 fights and they don't want to up your contract, you're still with them for 8 fights. If you have belief in yourself, don't sign for more than 3 fights, because you can negotiate after the second fight. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you're like, I'm here now and I'm okay with it, you can go with 8-fight deal. So I'm really feeling that way as well. But
I get what you're saying. Again, Holly Holm, again, her best friend and training partner, signed a 6-fight deal. He's older than her. it seems like they're both going to ride their careers on the UFC, you know? And
Yeah, so I understand.
Yeah, another thing our boy James was talking about, he had mentioned that, you know, it's also like controlled by the UFC. Like they can't go to like a bare knuckle now. Because I think, you know, honestly, I think Michelle Waterston would do really well in bare knuckle potentially. You know, Marcel, like it's not like the competition is not great there. She's a tough girl. She's almost impossible to finish. You have to give Michelle credit. Like she's super durable, man. Like
yes, I always liked her. Like I said,
a legendary chin. I mean, has she even been dropped in the UFC? Okay, Rose dropped her, and that's her only knockdown in her whole career in the UFC. That's pretty impressive. I mean, not like she has any power herself. She doesn't, but she's a good fighter, man. I don't know. I think she's got a chance to win this fight. I'm almost talking myself into it, Marcel, just because, again, that last fight, it's like the last fight, though. UFC's doing, you know, Marcel, like just like Glenn was saying in the chat, a lot of these fights are a veteran against a young prospect. It really is. Go ahead.
You're talking yourself into Michelle. You're such a nasty dude.
Anyways, I mean, I think she's got a chance, guys. That's what I'm going to say.
I agree.
You're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, you're telling me there's a chance. All right. Go to the last prelim here, Marcel. I believe it is. And, well, too bad Chiesa and Jiggling fell off the card. But now we have, regardless, we have Kelvin Gastelum and Chris Curtis still on the card. It's going to be a good fight. Odds for this one, we have Kelvin's the favorite now, -135. Chris Curtis, +110. The odds makers actually opened up Curtis, I believe, as the favorite in this fight. Yeah, at -170. Odds have taken a complete 180 here. So what's your thoughts on that? Because I saw people talking about line movement on Twitter and stuff in this fight. I don't know. What do you think, man? Like, who's your pick? What do you think with the line movement?
Such a difficult one. You know, when the fight got announced, Gastelum was in front of Curtis, and now Curtis is in front of Gastelum in the rankings. Super stupid. They haven't both fought, and they switched places. Yeah, it's difficult. You know, it's really difficult because Gastelum, he has only one win since 2018, and it was against Ian Heinisch. We haven't heard from Heinisch in a long time, to be honest, man. By the way. At the same time, he has losses to Israel Adesanya, which was a super competitive fight. He has losses to Cannonier, which was a competitive fight, and the losses to Whitaker, which wasn't that competitive. The Till fight was kind of competitive, and he got really easily subbed by Hermanson very quickly with a heel hook. Chris Curtis, fun fight so far in the UFC. You know, has been retired for 3 times, I think, before he went to the UFC. Should have been much earlier in the UFC, in my opinion. One loss in his career against Jack Hermanson, and it really took that bad in London. I remember he got super mad, but at the same time, dude has some legit wins, man, on his career. In his career, dude. I mean, he stopped Brandon Allen in the second round. He, I think, almost stopped over 20 takedowns of Rodolfo Vieira, remember, in that fight, and he kept it standing. The KO win over Buckley was great last time out, although the first round wasn't that great from his side, if I can remember correctly. I remember his debut against Haas, where he got lit up pretty much, and he landed one shot, he knocked him out. So, yeah, I gotta pick Curtis here, man. As much as I always had a soft spot somehow for Gastelum, you know. I always liked the guy. He's also super friendly all the time, you know. But I gotta be honest, I think Curtis has more upside at this moment in his career. You know what I mean? I think he is like, if you pick a decision, you go with him here. You know, if you pick a knockout, you probably go with him here. And with a submission, yeah, it's more difficult, you know, for him. But Curtis has more ways to win, in my opinion, at this moment. And for Kelvin, we haven't seen the old Kelvin for a long time. You know what I mean? The Kelvin who came up on the scene like a big prospect, was very difficult to handle for everybody. And now it's kind of like, I don't know, you know. I hope we see a good fight, you know. I like both guys, but I'm picking Curtis here. I'm picking him with a decision win.
I'm with you. I mean, this is definitely like a close fight. I think it's going to decision most of the time. Judges are getting involved. Marcel, would you be surprised if it was split decision?
Which one?
This fight, if it ends up in a split decision.
No, absolutely not. No.
That's kind of what I'm thinking it's going to be, guys. I think it's going to be really close on the cards. And it probably comes down to Kelvin probably throwing some more strikes out. I got the numbers here. Well, actually, Curtis is landing more, but it's small sample size too. I mean, let's be fair. He only has 5 compared to like 20 fights. Anyways, I think the judges probably get involved, and it probably will come down to like what they see in the fight. But I just think like Curtis, you know, lands really powerful shots. Like we've seen him get a bunch of knockouts. I don't think he knocks out Gastelum because Gastelum is really tough too, man. Like great chin. But, you know, he's been dropped before, you know, and against Izzy, obviously. And, even his last fight against Jared Cannonier, he got dropped in that fight. So he can be dropped. Curtis has a chance to knock him down, but I don't think he'll I think if he knocks it down, Kelvin can get back up and survive.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to 3 rounds. And again, I just feel like Curtis probably lands the bigger shots along the way and wins the decision. But again, Kelvin's a really good fighter, man, and you can't write him off after losing 5 of his last 6 because he was
definitely
losing
like this competition. Yeah,
elite competition. At the same time, though, I am surprised by the odds flipping because, I just feel like Curtis is on a roll. He's been fighting. It's not like he's fighting scrubs. He's fighting good fighters too.
I agree.
Buckley's good. Fear is pretty. I mean, I guess he's one-dimensional. I get that, but still. And then you have Brendan Allen's really good. He knocked him out. And then Phil Hawes is a good fighter, I think, too, and knocked him out. Herman's fight was not a good performance. I mean, let's be honest. It was bad. I think maybe that's what people think are happening here, Marcel. That's what it must be. And yeah, I guess there's a chance that could happen. But still, I'm a little surprised the odds flipped. I mean, is there something is there some inside information or something? Does someone know something we don't know? I don't know. I saw what people were saying on Twitter, sharp action came in on Kelvin. I get that, but it's still a pretty drastic line flip for me. Anyways, Chris Curtis by decision is my pick. Let's some comments here. Oh, we got our boy Joe in the chat. What's up, Joe? Curtis beats overrates Cejudo. That's funny. It kind of do look like. See, this is basically a pick 'em. Yeah, Antoine, I agree, but I would give the slight edge to Curtis. For me, it'd be a -120 plus 100 fight. So, yeah, I guess based on value alone, you're getting plus 110 on him. Yeah, but again, I think he should be favored in my opinion. Hey Marcus, what's up? I like Curtis in the spot underdog odds minus the short nose fight was Jack Hermanson, who had on his track shoes. Chris's looked solid 9 of his last 10. Yeah, that fight pissed me off because I bet on Curtis, and it was. I thought Jack looked good in the fight. I mean, he was backwards, but he did what he had to do. It was just so it was so awful by Curtis, and then he wins his next fight. I think he's kind of a hard guy to pick his fights too, Marcel. Chris Curtis. I don't have the best record picking his fights.
Yeah.
Hearing Curtis. Okay, we'll talk about that later, Marcus. Can Kelvin be a Hall of Famer in the fight win because of his fight with Israel?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that fight's going in, but again, I don't think just because your fight's in that I would call the guy a Hall of Famer. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I agree with that. But by the way, I think they're going to induct another Hall of Famer this weekend.
You're joking?
No. I don't know who it is, by the way. So,
a fighter or something else?
I don't know.
Probably, maybe it'll be a pioneer or something. Maybe it'll induct Fertitta or something like that, or
Yeah, I'm thinking about somebody who is connected with Miami. I would say I have no idea. So.
This weekend, yeah.
But doesn't have to because I think Jan Spulver got inducted in UFC. What was that one? Brazil or Australia?
What about Joanna?
Yeah, it's possible. We should be on the lookout if she's there at the fights. Let
me see. Yeah, is it possible? I mean,
she trains at ATT, right?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Imagine I get this right, guys. That's gonna be a good one. I mean, I think it's possible because Dana loves her. She's obviously one of the best women's fighters of all time, anyway. So that's again, people are gonna be like, "Why is Joanna in the Hall of Fame if that happens?" Marcel,
she is still the greatest strawweight of all time in the UFC, and that doesn't mean. Yeah, she lost to the champions. She lost twice to Weili. She lost to Rose twice. But I look at legacy. I always look at title defenses. And she is still the girl with the most title defenses at strawweight. They still haven't taken that from her. And I'm not even the biggest Joanna fan, but I still think she is the greatest, the strawweight GOAT. If it comes to that, Yeah. Rose can still catch her because the thing is, many people are always like, yeah, but she doesn't this one. So you think Dennis Holman is a better fighter than Matt Hughes, So you think Chris Weidman is a bigger GOAT than Anderson Silva. No, they beat them twice, both, but they're not, But you got to look at whole career legacy, you know what I mean? And Joanna pretty much set a standard, man, for the strawweight division in the UFC. And for such a long time, nobody could fit that standard until Rose knocked her out, So got to give her credits for that,
I'm just kind of looking through the list of UFC champions in the past and stuff, just to see what it could be. If it's someone like you said, Florida based, the only one that makes sense is her. It really is Marcel. So,
yeah, I was thinking about maybe a Mike Goldberg or something, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe a pioneer.
Yeah.
he's not a pioneer, like a builder. They
Yeah.
call it a builder.
Contributor.
The thing is, like, I don't know if Mike wouldn't be the first commentator, and they would put in Joe first, Joe Rogan, and then John Anik. But for me, like, I still think Goldberg. I know he, a lot of people didn't like him, but personally, Marcel, like, I miss his calls. I thought he did some great calls. So.
I thought, listen, man, with Goldberg, he was sometimes wrong, but I always thought it was funny when he was wrong. It was always
funny whenever he fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my prediction, guys. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for telling us that, Marcel. Look at that inside information here, guys, because you didn't know otherwise. All right, Marcel, we got the next fight here. We're in the main card. We got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Christian Rodriguez in a bantamweight bout. Good fight here, Marcel, to kick off the main card. 2 prospects. And Rosas right now is favored, as you'd expect. The odds are Rosas minus 250. Christian Rodriguez plus 200. Let me start on this one, Marcel. I mean, I think Rodriguez is a decent fighter, but I also feel like this is kind of a clear setup fight for Rosas to win. I absolutely think he wins the fight. Like, only 18 years old. I mean, that's insane. It's still crazy, right? 18-year-old UFC fighter. Like, obviously looked amazing in his debut. Now, Jay Perrin's not amazing. He's, as Sean Strickland called him, a scrub on Twitter, which I thought was funny. Jay Perrin's like almost like he's like that guy that you have to beat to get in the UFC, basically. And he beat him, and he submitted him and looked good. And then obviously the fight with Nando Gutierrez is actually a pretty good prospect too, and he beat him. So I think he doesn't have a lot of experience, 7 fights, but the last 2 wins are over pretty decent competition. You have a guy that's on tough now, and you have a guy who's in the UFC for a cup of coffee. And then obviously the ground game's really good. And again, Marcel, 18 years old, man. 18 guys. So like the upside's limitless with this guy. Like we never had an 18-year-old, right? I don't think. Maybe Sage Northcutt was, maybe. But the point is, like, it's rare, and I think there's a lot of potential with this guy. Rodriguez, Marcel, I thought he looked, obviously great against that Josh Weems guy, but that Josh Weems guy's not good, and he got cut immediately. So, like, right, he got cut, didn't he, Josh Weems?
Yeah, he's fighting against Mike Davis, I think. Oh, no. Brandon Davis. I'm sorry.
Oh, Brandon Davis will beat him, I think. I think Brandon's.
Yeah, it's not in the UFC, by the way. It's
I know. I remember. I saw the. I can't remember what promotion it is. Anyways, the point is, like, yeah, he won that fight. He looked good, but the fight with Jonathan Pierce, and I know he actually had some positions at Pierce. I think he had some submission positions, but Pierce, and again, Pierce is a big guy, and that was, I believe, at featherweight. Pierce is a big dude, so that's not an easy fight. But taken down repeatedly, putting in some submission attempts. I think he's decent, guys, but I also don't think the takedown defense is that good. Like, you got taken down twice by Josh Weems, 6 times by Pierce, and then twice against Reyes Cortez, who's Tracy Cortez's brother, on Contender. So I don't trust the takedown defense is not good enough for this fight, and I expect Rosas to win. I think he submits him, and it's the odds plus 160 on submission. That's what I think happens, Marcel. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Thanks to that Dylan Danis guy, when Raul Rosas comes up, I still have to think about Vernay Jandiroba. Do you remember that part in the in Ariel Hawaii? So stupid. Yeah, I feel like I think Christian Rodriguez is much better than many people think. I think many people think that Rosas will cruise to or easily get a win there. I don't think it will be easily. I think Christian trains now at Fight Ready. He was at Rufus Sport before. I think he's pretty decent, man. I know we lost his. Where he was at Contender Series, he didn't get a contract because he didn't make weight. Remember, that was such a stupid thing. Remember that Hatley was on the same show and he got the contract and he didn't make weight. And then Dana was like, yeah, Rodriguez, I like him, but he didn't make weight. And then Laura Sanko was like, if he made weight, would he get the contract? Yeah, probably. I was like, dude, you're doing like, how do you say that? It's super weird, but it is what it is. He got the call later, fought Pierce, lost the fight, came back, got a beautiful submission against Weems. Rosas Jr., yeah, a special dude, man. 18 years of age, got signed when he was 17 after the Contender Series, like you said, against Mando Gutierrez, that win. Won against Jay Perrin, pretty quick submission. I think he got difficulties, dude, with Rodriguez. I really do. I think he wins, but I think he doesn't finish him. I think it will be a decision win.
Okay, well, we're both picking the win.
Yeah.
But you think it's going to be like a tougher fight for him than I think?
I think he likely loses a round even, so I think it will be super close.
Fair enough. All right, get some comments here. Mike Goldberg, great again. Yeah, I mean, Goldberg's a legend, man. He beats the minor. He's 18, dude. He's not a minor, man. I guess he can't drink in the States, but you can still fight. You guys think Raul fights only on pay-per-view from here on out? I mean,
Depends if he wins.
It looks like the UFC's got an interesting plan going forward, eh? So they got prospects opening up pay-per-views now, like Bo Nickel, like this guy. Like they're it's a different era a little bit.
Yeah.
Even Joe Pyfer's getting a big step up in competition, Marcel, I think. So interesting. All right, a couple other comments. Not a fan of fighters so young. Brain growth 25. T-guys almost guaranteed. No doubt fights for peanuts. He might be on. Maybe he's probably on 12-12, but maybe he's on 20-20. But yeah, he's not making much money. He did win $50K though, Glenn, for performance of the night. But yeah, he's not making a lot of money. I'm with you with the brain thing too. You guys think 10 years ago you ever see 8-year-old in the UFC? I think Sage was like 18 or 19, wasn't he, Marcel? Sage Northcutt.
I know. For example, Dan Lozon when he came to the UFC was 18.
Okay, so Sage was 19.
Okay.
We're still teenagers. Let me just check. Vic Diaz was 20. Robbie Lawler 20.
Dan Lozon.
Peter Belfort 19. Hold on. Sage 19, and then Dan Lozon 18. So he was the other 18-year-old. There you go. Great pick by Marcel. Is that when he fought Spencer Fisher and got flying kneed? Is that the one?
I don't know, but I just can't remember that I saw the tail of the tape, and it was super weird to see 18.
Was it Matt Wyman? I can't remember. Hold on, let me try.
Years ago, dude.
Spencer Fisher destroyed him at UFC 64.
Yeah,
that was remember that, eh?
Yeah.
That fucking Spencer Fisher was so much fun to watch, man.
And
that guy has serious brain trauma now. It's pretty sad.
He got this crazy fight with Sam Stout, right?
Who?
Spencer Fisher.
3 of them. He had 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 crazy fights with Sam Stout. Yeah.
Sam Stout. The guy had the pictures.
Remember the Spencer Fisher fight with Matt Wyman, where Matt Wyman was like, "No, you haven't touched me," and then he knees him right in the face.
Matt Wyman's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I like Wyman as well.
We got embedded media weigh-ins. Okay, we'll go to the next fight here, guys. And the next fight is Kevin Holland taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. And this fight is
dagger.
It's the welterweight division. And Kevin Holland's a favorite, minus 275 plus 210 on Ponzinibbio. Your pick.
So if you ask me who you think is the better fighter of the two, I would go Santiago Ponzinibbio. If you ask me who you think is going to win, I'm picking Kevin Holland for the simple reason that I don't think Santiago Ponzinibbio's chin is going to hold up any more longer. I think Kevin Holland, if he lands a clean shot in the first round, he knocks him out. That's what I think, If you look at Ponzinibbio in his last fight against Alex Morono, he looked pretty bad, and then out of nowhere, he knocked him out in the third round, and he got a performance bonus for it, so good for him. But he didn't look good in that fight. And for me, it's like since Ponzinibbio came back after that long injury, he got knocked out by Li Jingliang in that first fight. I know he won against Baeza. He looked good in that fight. I think he lost to Pereira after that close. But he hasn't been the guy anymore with which he was before his injury, in my opinion. If you look at Kevin Holland, I think he's decent. I don't think Kevin Holland's going to be in the top 10 anytime soon. Probably around between 10 and 20, somewhere there. And this is a fight he can win, I think. If he can, he got to go for the stoppage, I think. If he doesn't go for the stoppage, he might get a decision loss, because we know Santiago is pretty durable, but at the same time, dude, I think if he gets clocked with a good shot, it can be over. So I'm gambling here with a KO win for Kevin Holland in the first round. If you asked me this fight 3 years ago, I would be all over Ponzinibbio probably, but I'm going with Holland here.
Yeah, I'm picking him too, Marcel. I think he knocks him out. You said knockout too?
First round, yeah.
Yeah, I think he knocks him out, guys. Like Holland, listen, for all his faults, man, he can still crack a big punch. And Ponzinibbio, listen, like, mad respect to the guy, but I just think he is on a decline here. A lot of wear and tear, a lot of wars. Last couple of years, I don't think is amazing. I know he knocked out Morono in his last fight, but was losing the entire fight basically. Like, I had him down on the scorecards, Marcel. I get it. He still won. Give him credit, but
for sure,
that doesn't really give me a lot of confidence going forward. And then obviously Pereira, close fight but still lost, and then Jeff Neal, another close fight and loss. That was that Jing Liang fight, and I know that coming back from an injury, but it's just so he can get cracked now.
That was shocking. It was honestly shocking back then,
Was, but the point is he's been getting drawn more now. He still can make the fight, very competitive. It goes to scorecards. You look at the fights that go to decision, Marcel, usually very close fights. So give him that, but again, I kind of see a finish in this one. Almost all of Holland's fights, really end with a finish. And I think that Holland at 170 is a problem. And yeah, I mean, the Thompson fight was. I mean, at the same time, Stephen Thompson's like one of the best strikers ever at 170. Really, when you think about it, like it's not like it's a terrible loss to have. Hamza took him down easily. Listen, the good thing about this fight is, Marcel, you don't really have to think about the ground game, right? Because when is the last time Santiago really landed like a takedown and controlled the guy in the ground? Like it's been a long time.
I can't remember, if I'm being honest. And maybe Holland will imply the takedowns in this fight if it happens, but likely not.
I think Holland would have the better chance to get us up. Anyway, I think Holland catches him on the chin and finishes him. Yeah. I'm with you. Holland by knockout. Plus 185. Knockout. First round plus 360. Second round plus 500. Third round plus 800. Yeah, Holland by knockout's my pick, guys. All right, comments. Marcus says, after Kevin Holland showed poor fight IQ against Wonderboy, I don't see how anyone can be comfortable betting Holland in this fight. Recovering from a broken hand. Yeah, I mean, Marcus, like I would hope that his hand is healed by now. I would hope he's not fighting with an injury. The thing is, like, you never know with Kevin sometimes, right? Because he can be a guy that shows low fight IQ at times, but I just think he's so dangerous. It really is, But I'm with you, Marcus. Like, his fight IQ is not the best. Hype, what's up? Says this weird scene with the background. Yeah, I'm not at home right now, so I just felt it was better than. I want my toys back though. Give me my toys myself. All right, on the next fight here, and the next fight, Rob Font against Adrian Yanez, and this is another obviously amazing fight. Odds for this one, Adrian Yanez is favored here at a minus 185. Rob Font plus 150. Marcus or Marcel, give me your pick. Marcus, thank you.
So this fight is also another difficult fight, in my opinion, to pick. I think many people will be on Adrian Yanez here. But man, Font, I think Font is good. His boxing is good. The thing is, like, he outstriked Marlon Chito Vera in this fight. But he got knocked down a couple of times, got damaged heavily, and he lost the fight. I still think he is one. He got a lot of good box. God, what the hell? I'm stumbling. I still think he got some good boxing, probably one of the better in the division. Not the best, but one of the better. Yanez has good boxing as well, but you got to be honest, man. I feel like the Randy Costa fight, I always refer to, he did great in the second round, but he completely destroyed in the first round. Remember that? He came back. Davy Grant fight was super competitive. He won the fight. I think he won the fight. Was a split, I think, but I think he deserved to win the fight. And then the Tony Kelly fight, I still think that was a weird follow-up fight after the Davy Grant fight. I don't think Tony Kelly's better than Davy Grant. So now he's fighting Rob Font. Now we're going to see if Adrian Yanez, where he's really at in the UFC, because if you beat Rob Font, you can be go right to the top, in my opinion. And to be really honest, I don't think Adrian is there yet, in my opinion. I think Adrian is good. I think he can still develop, but I don't think he's there yet. I think this is a little bit too quick. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. We'll see. But I feel confident to pick Rob Font by decision here. So I'm picking Rob Font.
Definitely a respectable pick. I mean, this fight is a tricky one. I mean, it's another fight, Marcel, veteran versus prospect, really. Yanez is ranked, but you know what I mean? Like, I think Yanez is ranked, right? He's in the top 15?
Yeah, both are ranked. Yeah.
So, I mean, Font's right at the top still.
I think it's 6 against 12 or something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Adrian's been around for a while. He's not like, I just called him a prospect, but he still has 19 fights, and he's got 65 in the UFC, 4 by knockout. And the knockouts, he's looked dominant, right? But there's that fight with Davy Grant, Marcel, that he didn't finish him, and it was close. Is that what's going to be like in this fight, where he actually gets struck a lot, even against that Randy Costa. That first round, he got lit up, right? So that's the tricky part about this fight, is because we know Rob Font's just got beautiful boxing combinations, man.
Yeah.
Like the Vera fight, Marcel, he was just lighting him up. I think most of the fight. Like if you look at the stats, Marcel,
it's crazy, right?
He landed 271 and only absorbed 159, but the 3 knockdowns were the difference. But he almost doubled it. He almost landed like 300 strikes in that fight. That's significant strikes. That's insane.
Yeah.
Lost the fight still, though, clearly, obviously, because of the damage, like you mentioned. the point is, like, the guy's still a good boxer, even against Jose Aldo, where it's like he lost that fight, throwing 150 significant strikes, and then got absorbed, or 149, and then he absorbed 86. Like, he basically doubled him in strikes, but again, suffered 2 knockdowns. I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen here, man. That's what I'm thinking. I think that Font is the better boxer right now. You're right, Marshall. I think he is. But the problem is, I think his chin's going to let him down again, man.
Okay.
So I think Godinez drops him and potentially finishes him, to be honest with you, because he's suffered 5 knockdowns his last 2 fights. That's a lot of damage. And I know Font, has he ever been knocked out? I don't think so.
I can't remember.
I don't think he has. I think this could be the fight where he actually gets knocked out by a guy who's, really young and dangerous. If the fight goes the distance, I think it'll be really close. I'll say that. I think it'll be like, potentially Font could pull this off. But again, I just think Godinez, I think he's a special young fighter. He's good.
I feel like it's Godinez by finish or Font by decision, pretty much.
Godinez by knockout is plus 150. That's what I think. You said Font by decision is plus 240. I think he knocks it out, though. That's my pick. All right, comments here. Excuse me. Oh, grateful, dude. Godinez Font's a fun fight to watch. I think it will either win a performance of the night or a fight in the night bonus. This fight, I think, is if it goes a distance, I think it'll be like the Davey Grant fight where it's like a war. Joe likes Font by knockout. When it gets fed to Peter. Who was calling out Peter recently? Who was it? Who was it, Marcel?
Sorry, what's the question?
Who was calling out Peter Yan recently? Marlon Vera, right? Was it Marlon?
Yeah, Marlon. Yeah.
I think Rob should be considered by a lot of people bet as the dog odds. It's good for slow competition. I agree. I just really like this kid, man. I think he's special. I have to go with him. I probably wouldn't pick against him unless he was fighting like a top, 5 guy right now. I think Godinez is special. But again, it's all matchups too. Like Adrian, like Counter-Strike. And that's what I kind of think happening. And actually catches him hard. Rob has suffered 5 knockdowns in 2 fights, my friend. Fun. When Cheetah was a year ago. Yeah, the time goes by quick. It's going to be electric for sure. All right. Go to the next one, Marcel. Co-main event, guys. Longer breakdown today. That's okay. We got Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Odds for this one, Marcel. Minus 450 on Burns, plus 360 on Masvidal. I mean, I just don't see the reason to pick Masvidal in this fight. Like, he's not looked good. He's lost 3 straight fights. I get it against Usman and Covington. Like, can't really take too much away, but like, just what to me wasn't super competitive in those fights. The first Usman fight was on short notice. Give him credit for that, but lost clearly, and then the second one gets brutally knocked out. And then against Covington, I thought he kind of lost clearly. I don't think the fight was competitive that much, to be honest with you. I feel like Masvidal's time's past him, man. 38 years old now. It's crazy, right? Because Burns is 30. He's turning 37 this year. Masvidal's turning 39. But yeah, Burns is turning 37. It's just like I feel like he's a lot fresher though, even though the age is only like a year or two. I just feel like Burns is kind of like on the uprise and Masvidal is on the downside right now. Like Burns has looked great. Like Magny fight looked amazing. And listen, Magny, a lot of losses in UFC, tons of wins too. He's a guy that's durable as hell too. So for him to submit him, that's impressive as hell. The only other 2 guys that submitted him are Damian Maia and his name, Halfcat, and then early in his career, what's his name? Sergio Moraes submitted him. But that's it. That's impressive. Burns, obviously, the fight with Hamza. I think Marcel, it's one of those fights, like, and I know you agree with me on this, like, his stock went up, even though he lost. Like, he moved up in people's eyes because it was such a good fight. Beat Thompson easily, and then Usman knocked him out. I mean, but he's looked great at welterweight, man. I remember when he first made the move, Marcel, I was like, I don't know about this move because, like, he just thought, 155, he's been kind of average. Like, I guess he has to do something, but it was the best move for his career. I mean, he's looked great at 170. And I think he gets another win here. And I know the odds are high, guys, but, like, I just don't see reason to pick Corey unless you think he knocks him out, which, I mean, is possible, but I just feel like Gilbert's got more ways to win. I think he takes him down. I get it. Masvidal's last 5 wins are by knockout. That's the way to hedge it, I think, if you are scared. But, yeah, I'm definitely going with Burns. The question for me is, finish or decision. Listen, for all Masvidal's faults, I mean, the guy's still tough as hell and very hard to submit. So I'm leaning towards a decision here, but, yeah, I like Burns, man. Marcel?
Yeah, I mean, Masvidal, He's like a super respectable veteran, but he only had one crazy year, and it was 2019, the year where we knocked out Till, Askren, and TKO Diaz, And besides that, he's always been just pretty much a gatekeeper, in my opinion. And that's the way it is. I know he's got a lot of fans, but yeah, I mean, he got 2 losses to Usman. First one was short notice. He got a second fight. I don't think that was necessary. He got knocked out, and super unnecessary. And then the third one against Colby, the most recent one, he landed one good shot in that whole fight. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, the only thing that can happen here is that Burns falls in love with the striking again and does something stupid and he gets knocked out. Yeah. That's the only thing that can happen where Masvidal likely can win, in my opinion. I think Burns will play it smart. If he is smart, he will have the crowd against him, even in Florida, because he's in Miami. And he's pretty much from the rivaling gym, Kill Cliff, American Top Team. So I think Burns wins the decision. That's how I see it. I don't think he finishes Masvidal. Masvidal's super tough, as we all know. Yep. We've seen him fight against Damian Maia before, right? So, yeah, I'm taking Burns' decision. No, I'm not going to gamble with Masvidal. It's like I haven't seen too many good things of him as of lately,
Yeah, I agree. Burns by decision is plus 150, so we both like that. A couple other comments here. Juan says, sorry for Burns or Masvidal Sparkson. I mean, that's his way to win. Like I said, his last 5 wins are by knockout. 6 of his last 7 wins in the UFC are by knockout. That's his way to win. Masvidal by knockout is plus 450. Honestly, at that point, I'd rather take the money line because it's MMA. Anything can happen. So, in my opinion, it's not, if it was like plus 700 or something, like that's better.
Can I ask you something, Adam?
Sure.
Do you think that the UFC specifically went to Miami to get Masvidal back on a card?
I mean, they kept saying like we haven't been in like 20 years. Wasn't that what they were saying? Like that was kind of
but Dana also said that they would go to to Tachi Palace. Remember?
Yeah,
when, they never went. Yeah, so
we were gonna do a fight during COVID when the government I think it was still sanctioned, but you know what I mean. It was like on the reserve, right?
Yeah.
Masvidal could beat GSP, then he beats Burns. I don't know what Joe Rogan was saying with that. It's so stupid.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Girl says, I don't like the shot after the video with the wolf. It's disturbing. I didn't like seeing the video either. You saw the video, Marcel?
No, what happened?
It's just Shavkat's the video where he kills a wolf, but the wolf is still alive and he throws it to the ground. And it's kind of messed up, honestly. It bothered me too, to be honest with you.
Can you show it to me? I haven't seen it.
It's in the
but
it's actually in the Discord, I think.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it. Okay, I'm gonna check it out now.
I like Burns. Just go on Twitter, actually, Marcel. Probably look it up because I think you just posted a pic in the Discord. Anyways, if goal is to get Masvidal back in win column against putting against Burns is a bad idea. Yeah, I agree. Jorge says a suspect training decent wrestling, not better than Colby and Usman. Jorge's good takedown defense. Jorge's takedown defense is decent. That's why I'm thinking it's going to be a decision because I think he's will have to work for the takedowns. Jorge's decision takedown defense 74%. It's not bad. Well, it's not great, but it's not bad. Greed market. Masvidal second fight Miami. Hometown fight gets Burr and him, not the judges. That's interesting. 22 years since Miami. That's what I'm saying. It's been a while. All right, Marcel, let's get to the main event. We have a great fight here, guys, in the UFC middleweight division for the belt. And we have Alex Pereira putting his belt on the line against Israel Adesanya in the rematch. And the odds for this one have the champ Alex Pereira he's actually the underdog, excuse me. I guess the challenger, in this case, minus 155 favorite Israel Adesanya, taking on the champ, who's the underdog, plus 135 underdog. So it's interesting, right? Typically the champion is the favorite, but not every time. But considering he knocked him out, a little surprising, I guess, in some ways too. So the line movement seems to be trending towards Pereira. People seem to be on that side a little bit more from what I've seen, but still, obviously, a very competitive fight, and the odds are indicating that. Marcel, I think both guys are. You give the breakdown first. Actually, go ahead.
By the way, did you see that ex-MMA has canceled their
I didn't see that
event? Okay, I just see that. I was still searching for the clip. I haven't seen it. Maybe you can look it up for me and send it to me when I do the breakdown. So Yeah, Pereira against Adesanya, right? Fourth time actually, second time in MMA, right? 2 times in kickboxing, and in every single of the 3 fights, Adesanya was winning until he wasn't. Um, the thing is, like, well, yeah, I feel like if Adesanya fights smart, he wins the fight. That's what I feel. I think Pereira can still knock him out. Pereira pretty much lured him in the fifth round, went toe to toe with him and knocked him and TKO'd him. I think Adesanya plays smarter this time. Uses a little bit more of his ground game in this one. I think overall he's a better fighter than Pereira, although he's further in his MMA career than Pereira, for example. That's how I feel about it. Pereira can still finish him, of course, but man, Adesanya, why would I not pick Adesanya? The only thing why I wouldn't pick him is why he's 3-0 is in between his ears. But I think he's a better fighter overall, man. I think he keeps it technical, keeps a distance, and he wins. Decision win for Adesanya. That's what I feel.
It's tricky, right? But I'm kind of leaning the same way because, again, this fight's kind of like almost like Usman and Edwards too, in a way. I mean, because you had one guy, winning the fight and then getting knocked out at the end. Israel, I think in this fight, he should use his wrestling more. That's what I think he should do, Marcel, because it seemed to be like where he had the biggest advantage, in my opinion, in that first fight. I also think if he does that, he's going to need to conserve his energy because, like, that was one of the reasons I think he got tired in this fight. But yeah, man, I mean, when he took him down, like, the control he had was pretty impressive in that fight. So, everyone's going to look at the striking here, and I mean, I think the striking is competitive. Obviously, Pereira's got more power. He's knocked him out a couple times, so it's tough. I mean, Pereira's beat him 3 times, right? Beat him 3 times. He might just have his number, like people say. But I still, for whatever reason, I think Adesanya can come back and get that 4th fight. Like, it's not like that's never happened before. Guys have lost, and really, I mean, it's 0-1 in MMA. So, like, there's lots of people that have lost their first fight and then come back and won. If anyone's going to do it, it's a champ like Adesanya's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Again, last fight was really close. I think I had it 3-1 going to the 5th round, and I'm like, all right. And Adesanya's just cruising the decision, and then he got just finished. And that could happen again here potentially, but I lean towards Adesanya by decision, Marcel. So I think we have the same pick, man.
Okay.
A couple other comments. Juan says Pereira's number. Yeah. Joe says, is he gets his belt back? Yeah, I think he does too. Prediction: Alex will miss weight, so he's an excuse to move up. Possibly they're going to do a trilogy. I think so. I mean, it depends how this fight goes, right? But yeah, if it's like Carla and Rose 2, then no. If it goes in the round 4, is he going to get nervous? Possibly. That's true, Glenn. Actually, live betting thing. Wonder be the ref. I don't think it's out yet, but it's interesting. That is interesting. I mean, hopefully someone that enforces fence grabs if that happens. Because I mean, again, if Adesanya wrestles like I think he will, might see fence grab. All right, Marcel, is there anything else you want to say about this card?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's a fun card, some good matchups on it. Yeah, I'd say enjoy the show, right?
For sure. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. I mean, we did a long podcast. It's okay though. I have some time to kill.
By the way,
yep,
I've seen it now. The picture. I don't think it's Shafkat, dude. The dude has a mustache in the picture, and Shafkat doesn't have a mustache.
Yeah, I don't know because there's a video of it. Maybe you think it's someone else then?
Yeah, I think it's the guy who's next to him on his profile, on his story. I don't think it's Shafkat himself, to be honest, man.
It's interesting. I don't know. It's kind of disturbing, anyways, man. I don't like the picture emails. Marcel, you plug your stuff? You good? Oh, hold on. Let me get these comments. Last couple of comments, guys. Yeah, the video got taken down. See, I don't like watching that stuff, man. Are you going, dude? I hope you're gonna have fun, man.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite underdogs? Okay, let me just go. That's always a good question, Marcus. But again,
we got Gerald Meerschaert both, right?
All right, so here we go. We're gonna tell you guys right now. All right, so we both have Gerald Meerschaert as a consensus dog plus 145. We both picked Chris Curtis as a consensus dog plus 110. Marcel, another underdog. You picked Rob Font, I believe, right? Plus 150. That was a pick from you. You also picked. Who's the other underdog? It was what's it, Marcel? You picked another one.
Let me think.
Yeah, I'll take Calvillo plus 210.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, see, my brain still works sometimes. Yeah, for me, it was the 2, and then Marcel picked 3, I guess. So I also feel like there's a couple of fights that move either way. But yeah, we had 2 consensus dogs, Curtis and Meerschaert. I'm picking them both to win. I mean, but even if just one, if you bet on both and just one wins, you still profit something. So it's not a bad way to go about it. All right, how many pay-per-view does Adesanya Pereira get? The trilogy or this one? This one probably does maybe 500,000. I don't even know if it'd be that much, but it's just a weird thing to keep track of right now. I think how many people are watching it still, but illegally, right? It's hard, just because it says that doesn't mean people aren't watching it.
And it's their own fault, I mean, why they make it way too expensive in the US, dude, or in North America.
It's like $100 now, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
I always say like this, dude, and it's no disrespect to the people watching it, but fighting is pretty much a poor man's sport, Not many rich people are watching it, or it's a popularity, but it's not like the most rich people watch other sports, you know what I mean? It's like most fighters aren't rich born. They are from I don't want to say they're from poverty, but some are really poor born, and they have to work their way up to come into the sport, and they are tough backgrounds, and most people watching this sport are either connected with these fighters or whatever, or it's now getting bigger, but back in the day a little bit more. That's how it more expanded, in my opinion. So in my opinion, you cannot ask so much money on a monthly basis. And even last month, you guys had 2 pay-per-views. It's even crazier on a monthly basis. So many dollars from you guys. I think when it was $70, it was already a lot, and now it's even much more. So it doesn't make sense to me. That's how I feel about it. I feel sad for you guys, to be honest.
But we didn't actually answer Antoine's question. He said, "What would the trilogy do?" I mean,
I have no idea.
Adesanya knocks out Pereira, third one would give you double that maybe. Anyways, Anyway, Locker, what's up, man? Think we can get some WWE action on. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this. You know what? We'll talk a little bit more. We're gonna do a short podcast after this, Marcel, just a quick one with some fights and stuff. But I definitely think there's a crossover aspect for sure, man, for sure. Since UFC Fight Pass sucks, I don't care. Hackers are free streams. I think Fight Pass is decent, but Law is also going to be in Miami. Says slapping Colby. Yes. I agree with you, Andrew. I think you could do like $1 million maybe. UFC needs Colby to sell with O'Connor. True. I think Connor too, like in WWE, that's kind of interesting now, right? Because they're the same parent company. All right, Marcel, let's get out of here though. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You can follow Big Marcel on his Twitter, Instagram, Big Marcel24. Follow me, I'm Adam Martin. And back next Monday, guys, to recap UFC 287, do the next show preview. In the meantime, check out my article at bookies.com and also miaminews.com, MMAOBsburger.com. And then last question here, who's the backup fighter? I don't think there is one, but maybe there is. I don't know who it would be, though. Has anyone asked? Probably not. All right, Marcel, we'll get out of here, okay? We'll start a new one, guys. It's short, okay? If you guys want to join us then, cool. If not, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.